Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your host, Jackie Chism, back again with another episode of the Chism Sports Groove. That's the CSG, if you didn't know. And it's episode 20. Man, it's moving along fast. Whew. I know today's going to be a good episode for, man, we got so much to talk about. We definitely need to go over the divisional rounds, this crazy upsets all weekend. We definitely also want to talk about some of our NBA All-Star starters as well. I got some predictions for that. I also want to go right into Titans time and our loss to the Bengals. Man, that was a tough one. Then we're going to definitely hit the good, the bad, the ugly. And we got some NBA games to talk about in Vegas, baby. We also got hot news and not news. And today, I'm gonna talk about coaching and players. Who should take blame and when they should take blame when it comes to games. And my final thoughts today. So, man, stay tuned, dude. We got a great show for you guys. Please enjoy. Hit that like, subscribe button if you haven't already. It's the CSG, you already know. So let's go.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
Welcome back, guys. Definitely gonna jump right into some of these divisional games. Man, it was a crazy weekend. All four games actually had a kick to end regulation. Only one went to overtime, and we know what happened in that one. But we're gonna start with the Tennessee Titans and the Cincinnati Bengals. Man, that was a rough one. I mean, Tannehill throwing an interception at the end of the game to lead them down, to give them position to have two plays and give McPherson a chance to kick. It's just all terrible, man. I can't even, I don't even have words to describe how I was feeling at the end of that game. Next, we're going to talk about the 49ers and the Packers. Man, the 49ers did come out with a win in that one, winning 13-10 over the Packers. I mean, Robbie Gould was able to hit a game-winning kick at the end. They gave Jimmy G just enough time to run down the field. Deebo Samuel's toughed it out the end there. I mean, Deebo. I mean, he is a special young player. I mean, who would have guessed? I mean, they got a first round and second round pick at wide receiver on their team, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuels. And nobody would tell you at this point in their stages in their career that Deebo was the second round pick out of the two. I mean, Jimmy G did just enough to win. I mean, the defense was all over Aaron Rodgers. And to think that, like, when the game started, the Packers go straight down the field. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams connect about 4 or 5 times right down the field for what it seemed like an easy touchdown. I mean, it looked like it was going to be a long day for the 49ers, but their defense clamped down, only holding them to 3 more points the rest of the game. I mean, it was still 10-3 with a few minutes left, and Packers could not do anything on offense. I mean, it just like they took away Devontae Adams, and that was it. You can man up Cobb, you can man up Lazard, you can man Valdez-Scantling wasn't in the game, wasn't available for this game. I mean, you probably doubled Aaron Jones out the backfield, and I mean, it just was a bad sight for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in that game. I mean, shout out to the upset, but shoot, I mean, there's some huge repercussions that probably could come from a loss that bad for the Packers. They have so many people that they have to re-sign, it's not even funny. Next, we're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the LA Rams. I was about to say St. Louis, but they're playing like they were like St. Louis in that game. to begin with. They won that one 30-27, and to be honest with you, the game was not that close until the end. I mean, it was just some crazy things that happened. I mean, there's a snap that flies over Stafford's head. I mean, 3 and out. There's a pick. I mean, it was a fluky game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get right back in that game and even tie it up at the end. But shout out to Stafford. Shout out to Cooper Kupp. He is so unguardable. There's no earthly excuse to let Cooper Kupp get behind you on a deep ball with 25, 30 seconds left in the game. I mean, they had plenty of time to get down there and spike the ball and get an easy field goal. I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, the only thing you had to worry about was Cooper Kupp going to catch that or not, because he was all by himself. He's not the fastest. He's actually 6'2", so he's not a small wide receiver. But I mean, that's not a guy you want to lose, especially the game that he was having to that point. OBJ had a great game as well. I mean, like, please, like, behave, bro. God, like, I see everybody in Cleveland has to suck their teeth right now and blaming OBJ and his skill set. He still is good. He's not even 30 years old yet, man. He's got plenty left to do, and he's showing out. That defense for the Rams showed out as well. I mean, Jalen Ramsey got beat at the end there by Mike Evans, and it was just a matter of time. I mean, you can only have 80 plays, and you can shut down somebody for a whole 80 plays. I mean, there's only one prime time, so maybe Darrelle Revis. Jalen Ramsey's really good. He's a really good corner, and you know, things like that happen. I mean, you would not like that to happen at the end of the game, especially if you're seeing all that they had. But I mean, those were great throws by Tom. Mike Evans ran some great routes. I mean, they really did their thing to get them back with the opportunities they had that the Rams coughed up there at the end of the game to get them back in the game. So I'm glad it was just a good game, to be honest with you. Who else just wanted to see a shootout of a game? And speaking of shootouts, man, the Bills and the Chiefs was nothing more than a shootout. I mean, come on. I'm thinking the game's over with when the Bills score. Gabriel Davis scores his 4th touchdown of the game with 13 seconds left. But Pat Mahomes had just enough magic left in him. I mean, he only had 2 plays, and who would have guessed that the 2 plays go to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to get them in the field goal range to send it to overtime? I mean, I would have guessed it. To be honest with you, who wouldn't have thought that those are the 2 people they were going to, and that's exactly where they went, and they got exactly what they needed. And I mean, overtime is a coin toss at this point. So I mean, the Chiefs were able to win it, and you just knew whoever had the ball last was going to win. I mean, it didn't matter how much time, to be honest with you, in that game, because defense was not showing up. The Bills' defense was supposed to be the #1 defense, and for you to give up 42 points when it mattered the most, is a straight 2 thumbs down, man. That's just Levi Wallace, Tyron Johnson, their secondary continuously got beat and burnt all game by the wide receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the pass rush was getting there. Pat Mahomes had to run for his life most of the game, but he's still Pat Mahomes, and as long as you give him an angle to throw the ball, he's gonna almost get it there. And he did all game. Sheesh. I mean, Pat Mahomes is showing that he is the most talented quarterback. Everybody wants to talk about Brady and Rodgers, of course, and even some people even said Josh Allen was a better quarterback than Pat at this point. But he showed out in that game. He showed there's only one quarterback I feel in this league that could have had a game like that, and that's Pat Mahomes. So shout out to you, big dog. All right, guys. I've been thinking about it for a minute too myself. All-Star breaks coming up, and man, we're 44 plus games into the season, so we're more than past the halfway point. And I just want to think that we already should know who our All-Star starters should be. All the voting has ended, so I think by the 27th they're going to announce, of January they're going to announce who the All-Star All-Star starters are. But I want to jump in front of that, and I'm going to give my starters as well. I think the top two players are in the voting is definitely just going to be LeBron James and Steph Curry. They're going to have the teams in this All-Star game. So I'm looking for them. I'm looking for them to be like just the biggest players on their team as well. That first pick, and with those, I'm just going to run through the starting five for each team that I think that would probably manifest at the end of the day. And I'm going to start with Team LeBron. All right, I got at point guard, I got John Morant. At 2, I got Zach LaVine. I got LeBron James at the 3. I got Giannis Antetokounmpo at the 4. And then I got Joel Embiid at the center. All right, for Team Curry, I got Steph Curry at the point. I got DeMar DeRozan at the 2. I got Andrew Wiggins at the 3. He's been balling out of his mind lately. Kevin Durant at the 4. And then the Joker himself, Nikola Jokic. I'm going to have him at the center as well. I feel like those 8 outside of LeBron and Curry are all in the MVP conversation. So except for maybe a Zach LaVine, who's been going through some injuries right now, but DeMar DeRozan definitely, Steph Curry definitely, maybe not Andrew Wiggins, but if you haven't looked at the votes lately, Andrew Wiggins is a top 10 voter, top 10 vote getter for All-Stars right now. It's not surprising seeing the way that he's been playing, especially with Steph Curry in the lineup without having Klay Thompson or James Wiseman. I mean, Draymond's been out, and Andrew Wiggins has definitely stepped up this year. He's one of the hugest reasons why they're one of the top teams in the West. I mean, if anybody has any problems with it, or you have any other lineups that you think that's going to happen, please drop it in the comments, man. I definitely like to see some of your feedbacks and some of the different lineups that people come up with. So, I mean, it's all fun at the end of the day. I can't wait for All-Star break. I mean, it's a good transition once the NFL season starts. I always love the slam dunk contest, 3-point shootouts, just for the competition of it. Like, especially with Steph and Klay, like they've always shown out. Like they set the bar at a whole new level. And Dame Lillard and some of the other 3-point snipers in this game have stepped up to the challenge. I love to see it every year. I mean, Zach LaVine and Spider Mitchell are just ridiculous bouncers. I don't know if you're going to ever see John Morant with his 40-inch vertical in the slam dunk contest, but there's so many people with so much bounce and so much height and creativity that I can't wait to see what they come up with next. I mean, so we're going to definitely do an episode to cover the All-Star break, and until then, man, we're going to speculate and keep trickling out some information, and when we get it. When we come back, we're going to go right into Titans time. Stay tuned.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
Henry breaks a tackle. Touchdown, Titans! Touchdown, Titans! He is the baddest man in the NFL!
What's going on, guys? It's Titans time. It's the segment where me, a lifelong Titans fan, goes over our weekly Titans information. Man, we had a big game this weekend in the division round versus the Cincinnati Bengals. We did not come up at all. Man, I feel like we just did not play our best. like all around, we did not reach our ceiling this year. I mean, injuries, COVID, everything happened that like just put us at the loss at the end. I mean, there's a few games you need with your core group to have a consistency and that camaraderie with each other that you just know what they're going to do from time to time. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams have played so many snaps together that they just know what they're going to get, snap by snap. Like, yeah, all right, cool. You see this, is this going to happen? You see this going to happen? I mean, and we just did not get that from everybody at all. Like secondary, the wide receivers, Tannehill, coaching staff. I mean, just we left so much on the table. There's so much more talent on this team, especially the way the defense played, man. Getting right into that, I want to go right into some tighten ups for this week. Excuse me. Energy drinks, man. Gotta have them. So, yeah, I just want to start off with the D-line for this game, man. Jeff Simmons, Harold Landry, Danico Autry, Naquan Jones. I mean, please don't let me forget out anybody's name out of that D-line. Like, they all came through. We had 9 sacks on Joe Burrow. I mean, constant pressure. He was pressured on more than 33% of his 32% of his drop back passes. I mean, it was a great game from up front standpoint. There's nothing nobody could do about Big Jeff. He had his way all day. Double teams, triple teams, just left Harold Landry and Danico Autry wide open. I mean, it was stunts, fronts. It just was a good game all around from everybody on that D-line. I mean, they came to play. When we needed the most, they stepped up. Like, yeah. So, if anything else, like, we have such a good young defensive front. We got Autry coming back. We definitely re-signed Simmons, but I mean, not Simmons. I'm sorry, Harold Landry. Simmons is still on his rookie deal, but we need to bring them back because that's a championship level front four, and nobody can tell me otherwise. Next, I want to talk right about King and Foreman himself. I mean, they both had a good game combined. I mean, for Derrick Henry to have like 2.5, almost 3 months off and come back and still be able to have like some big runs, some good first downs. Yes, he got stopped behind the line a bunch of times, but that's how they block for Derrick. It's sometimes it's a boom and sometimes it's a bust. I mean, he has about 4 or 5 runs normally in a regular season game that are just blown up because of blocking at the end of the day. I mean, some teams are selling out so hard to stop the run that it's just going to happen. Like, they are also NFL players as well. They're the best. They're some of the best at what they do. And you can't expect to win every play when you run the ball 40 times in a game. They still came out to be productive though, especially Deontay Foreman. Like, he had a great game. He had a couple of big runs. He came in and definitely shook up the momentum. I mean, all together they had a really good game together. I think they got about 120 plus yards together. Derrick Henry had that Wildcat touchdown that definitely felt good for all Titans fans, and I know it felt good for Derrick to get back in the end zone after saying that he might be done for the rest of the season. And so, I mean, we got a lot to build off of, especially with the running game. We got 2 bruisers that I'm very confident in going forward. Next, I definitely want to talk about AJ and Julio. I mean, those 2 came up huge in that game. 11 catches for over 200 yards and a touchdown between the 2. I mean, they were on top of it. Like, they beat coverages all they could. I mean, I know that the first play of the game was going to Julio on a comeback. But I mean, you have to throw that in the dirt, Tannehill. I mean, like, Julio is running the route that is given to him. I mean, you have to read that perfect. Like, he can't do anything else but sit down in the zone right there and wait on the ball. It's late. The eyes have been red. But anytime that, you ask them, both of them, for big plays, like they came through, it was good to see those two produce at the high level that we know that they could produce. Over 200 yards. I mean, you would like to see them have gotten another touchdown as well, especially since we were in the red zone for a screen pass was intercepted. I mean, it's just a wasted effort that I feel like for those two. Both of them are coming back next year, but you cannot waste a talented wide receiver duo like that, especially when they're healthy and they're producing the way they did. The sky's the limit for these two next year. Hopefully Julio can, get back to the drawing board and keep his body healthy. AJ's only getting better. Next, I want to go to some Titan downs, man, right quick, man. We got some bad ones today for this game. And I want to start with Todd Downing, the offensive coordinator. It's got to be you. Every game, we consistently have nothing to show for in the first 4 drives of every game. And we're running through once we run through our first 15 plays, our offense starts moving. I've always wondered, why is that happening? And you look at the way that the coaching staff sets up, they game plan the first 15 plays, and throughout the week, we had 2 weeks to game plan our first 15 plays. And the first play was an interception. And we went 3 straight drives without getting anything after that. I mean, it's got to be the coaching. I mean, the game plan to start off is terrible. It's one of the worst I've ever seen. Our offense always starts off so terrible. Then once we start playing off the cusp and taking what the defense is giving us, we're okay after that. Before that, we're running left behind Taylor Wan and Saffold until they blow it up a few times. Then we run the play action pass with 2 people out on the route, but the most basic routes, no crossers, no nothing. It's so predictable offense. It's so elementary, and it's got to be the Todd Downing. I know that they wanted to hire somebody else to start before the season, and I just don't see that there's a way that he comes back next year after the season that he had. I mean, we were not able to capitalize on anybody's strength this year for the most part. No down the field threats with Julio or AJ, and we know AJ's a deep threat. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen him burn Houston, Atlanta. We've seen him burn Carolina for the Raiders for the huge 80-some yard pass. I mean, he's a deep threat, man. And even then, he can take a 10-yard route, a 10-yard slant to the house at any point in time. Did we have put those people in positions to succeed this season? I feel like no. So Todd Downing, he's had that issue all year. It showed up again, and it cannot continue. There's no way that he can continue calling plays and being our offensive coordinator if we want to get to the next level, which is our Super Bowl. Next, I definitely want to talk about the quarterback, Ryan Tannehill. I mean, yes, I'm putting so much on the offensive coordinator for the play calling, situational plays, but I'm also putting some emphasis on Ryan Tannehill. He's missed a bunch of assignments on blitzers on for the offensive line this year, and which really cost us. He was the most sacked quarterback this year, and I feel like our offensive coordinator and our quarterback couldn't get on the same page, couldn't get our offensive line on the same page with what they actually were seeing. Tannehill, I mean, yes, that's a terrible play. There's some terrible plays. The screen pass was a terrible play. The first play of the game was a terrible play call, but you have to throw that in the dirt, man. You have to be able to read those plays, those people jumping those routes. I mean, especially when it's an obvious play call like it was. I mean, yes, the onus goes on the play caller, but you're going to go out there and execute it. the bad play and have bad results, I'm gonna put it on you as well. Tannehill, 3 interceptions. We could not come back from that. There's no way in this game we should not have scored 26 points. No way we should not score 26 points. But turnovers got us again. I just don't see how our offensive coordinator and quarterback combo are going to return next year. I don't know if either one are going to return next year, or you just bring one or you bring Tannehill back with a more experienced offensive revolutionary offensive minded coach, somebody that can cover up some of like his definite weaknesses, like throwing out routes or his decision making across the middle when he tries to fit it into tight windows. I mean, you just never know, man. What the hell like you're gonna get from Tennessee next year, especially if you keep Tannehill in this coordinator. For my last Titan down, I'm not sure if I want to give it to the tight ends or the cornerbacks, man, because the tight ends were non-existent in this one. We definitely, again, on the coordinator, like we did not run a lot of 2 tight end sets in this one, keeping it heavy, knowing that Okunjobi is out, knowing that they're light on the defensive line. Hendricks went out in that game for a while. I mean, we just did not capitalize on having the bigger, stronger, more physically dominating team. I mean, and when the tight ends were in, I mean, Ferguson was non-existent. Swain was non-existent. I mean, they did miss on a few blocks themselves to get Derrick Henry blown up in the backfield. I mean, it just wasn't a productive game from our tight ends. But I mean, we've had like tight end issues all year because we're using backup tight ends, and it showed. Man, I also don't know if we should give it to the cornerbacks, because I mean, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase still had their way in that game. They still had over 200 yards combined in that game. T. Higgins especially. I mean, sheesh. Christian Fulton, man, you got burnt on a few plays that I mean you would expect you to make on a normal day. I mean, you would think that you're a lot faster and could have keep up with a T. Higgins on some of those routes, but I mean, it just didn't look right. I mean, also Jackrabbit getting burnt to the outside on that last drive to set up that field goal. Like, bro, he's been getting burnt on stupid shit like that all year. I mean, so I just don't know which one to really give it to. So it's a mixture of both of them, to be honest. Man, we definitely need to upgrade those two. So I mean, I'm looking at both of those groups, the cornerbacks, and I'm looking at the tight ends as well at the end of this game. All right, I want to jump right into some re-signs for this year. We got a lot of people on 1-year contracts going into this year with the COVID situation and the recap and the salary cap that they cut for this year. Led to a lot of 1-year prove-it deals for a lot of players, especially on our back end. I think that we had a lot of players to step up, though, and we definitely need to pay them and keep them around. I want to start with talking about Harold Landry III. I mean, he led the team in sacks this year. Second-round pick. Rashard Evans was the first-round pick that year. I mean, he's played up and beyond his draft status. He's been one of our best pass rushers for the last few years. I'm glad to see him finally come into his own and put it all together. You would like to see him get better this offseason in the times that they do ask him for pass coverage and dropping him back. But I mean, hey, it's a passing league and he's a pass rusher. We definitely would love to keep him. I would love to keep him around. Have him like just terrorizing quarterbacks with Jeff Simmons and Bud Dupree for the next few years is a dream, man. So see that continue going. So hopefully we can keep him on. Next, I want to go about Ola Daney. He's also a pass rusher as well, but he's also an outside linebacker that plays a lot of special teams. I feel like he's our best special teams player. like hands down. He should have been a Pro Bowler, to be honest with you, on special teams. That's how good he was in special teams this year. And he also came in when we had a boatload of injuries and was able to come in and be productive with 2.5 sacks as well. I think that he's found that he's not going to be an extremely expensive player. We can get him on the cheaper side, especially what we ask him to do, play a few pass rushing snaps, maybe a couple coverage snaps, and then, cover kicks and play special teams for us. So I mean that's one of our glue. That's one of those glue guys. I feel like that play hard, that gives everything every day, and is the Titans culture. So I'd love to keep him around and let him help us get to our ultimate goal. Staying on that same route, is Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, man. He's done everything that the Titans have asked him for. I mean, to be a special teams player that's played so many snaps on offense and has been productive. He's had a few 100-yard games this season, which I was definitely shocked about. But when you see how hard he plays and the nature that he plays it in, never complaining, always doing what's ever asked of him. He's a very good blocker. I would love to keep him around, especially knowing that we're going to continue running the ball with Foreman and Derrick Henry in the years to come. We're going to need good blocking receivers. I mean, AJ and Julio are good blocking receivers, and having a third one, a big body guy like Nick Westbrook-Ikhine that can also play special teams. He's not going to be expensive again, so you would love to see him come back on a longer deal, so that way we can keep those hard-nosed Titan guys in this systems. Next, I want to definitely shout out to Randy Bullock, man. We definitely loved his consistency kicking this year. I mean, he missed a few, but I mean, where we were in the last few years when it came to kicking with Gostkowski, and after the suck-up days, I mean, we had 10 different kickers come through. We had 3 to begin this year, and 2 of them ended up on IR. So, I mean, it's just, we've had so many issues with kicking, and Randy Bullock's been consistent all year. He's won us a few games as well. I mean, I think Vrabel said it himself that Randy's found a home in Tennessee, and I hope to see him around next year, because we definitely would love to continue that consistency in that kicking game. I mean, it helped us so much. All right, last but not least, I definitely wanted to talk about either Tyir Tart or Cal Petco. I mean, Tyir Tart's been hurt this year. I mean, a lot of Titans players have been hurt this year, and he was another one of those players. But Cal Petco came in as well and played really well, especially in the last few games. He's gotten a lot of pressures. Tyir Tart's a big body. He's been in our system. We would love to see both of them come back. We can either keep one or the other. I mean, I'm not really diverse on either one. I think that Tyir Tart's probably the better player. And again, it's not going to be expensive either way. So, I mean, both of them are big bodies. They came up in our system, played really well within our front four, and we love to keep that consistency going forward, man. That's one thing we probably should not touch, man, our front four and our rotation as well. I mean, adding some depth is probably what we need, but I mean, Cal Petco and Tyir Tart, they were really good in the number of snaps that they were given. So I would love to see them get another chance at this team. All right, some of the people that I think that we should not re-sign going forward, and I'm gonna start with the tight ends. I think that we should not bring back either Swain or Anthony Firkser. I'm thinking more towards Anthony Firkser because he lacks in the blocking aspect of being a tight end. He's just more of a receiving tight end. Our offense definitely needs blocking tight ends that can catch, and so I feel like if that's not what we're progressing from Anthony Firkser or Jeff Swain, then we need to get rid of either one of those two. I feel like there are plenty of options that we can upgrade with the tight ends, either in the draft or in free agency, and we definitely need to take a look at those options to replace either one of those two, if not both. Next, I definitely want to talk about David Quisenberry. He played okay. I mean, and especially in the running game, he played really well. But in pass protection, he just was not starter quality. I mean, you would think Dylan Radons would get a chance to fill that void next year, seeing that we drafted him in the second round. But if we have to go find somebody to play right tackle, we definitely need to go find somebody to play right tackle. Because David Quisenberry, at best, can give you some good snaps, and he's a decent backup to come in and spell with an injury or with sickness, COVID that's happened. But for him to be the full-time starter the way he was, he got beat a lot this year, and it was rough to see. I would not re-sign him for a starting position. I would only bring him back for a backup role, but with Kendall Lamb already on the team and Dylan Radons, I would probably look for another person to come in to be that starter instead of bringing back David Quisenberry. Next, I definitely want to talk about the middle linebackers and Rashad Evans and Jayon Brown. Both of them are on expiring contracts. We did not re-up Evans for his fifth-year option. He was a first-round pick for us, so he will be a free agent. And Jayon Brown did not get a contract extension. Well, he got a one-year deal last year, and now he's back on the free agency market as well this year. I just don't think that we're going to re-sign both of them. Neither one of them are three-down backs, so they have their limitations. Jayon Brown's more of a pass coverage linebacker and not really suited for for running downs, first down, second down. And Evans is the opposite of that, in which he's definitely good on the first down and second downs for run stopping, but he lacks so much in coverage. I don't see them bringing back both of them. I think Evans is probably going to be the odd man out in this one because he was the first round pick, and he would ask for a little bit more money than a fifth round pick in Jayon Brown, who's definitely been in the doghouse this year, but he has he's had some good moments as well. You could also see them not bringing back either one of them. I could see them re-signing Zach Cunningham to a longer deal. He's played really well. David Long is our best linebacker, and he's definitely going to be the guy going forward. And we did like what we saw from Monty Rice. We would like to see him get better in pass coverage going forward. But I can see them adding another third down linebacker anyway. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did not re-sign either one of them, but it would also not surprise me if they were to bring back a Jayon Brown instead of Rashad Evans. All right, next, for a personal reason for me, I just don't think that you bring back Chester Rogers. We could definitely upgrade punt return, slot receiver. He had some moments in which he was very productive, and he had some moments in which he just looked like a practice squad player. And overall, he is a practice squad player. He's a backup at best, and for the Titans to get better, we're going to have to get better at those positions. Like if we can find a slot guy with some speed and some size to him in the draft or in free agency, we should think about going to an upgraded route over Chester Rogers, because I just don't see him being a back next year and being a big reason why we're successful. He had a few fumbles in the punt return game. He's had not that much success in the slot for us this year. So for what he's probably going to ask for, we can probably get at a cheaper price or a better price and an upgrade as well. All right, last but not least, I definitely want to talk about Logan Woodside. Who? Yes, Logan Woodside, our backup quarterback. At no point in time could Tannehill ever come out the game. Because if we ever thought Tannehill was struggling or he was just having a bad game, there's no way we put Logan Woodside in the game. I mean, the fact that we wanted to keep Matt Barkley around before he got snatched up out the practice squad tells you everything you need to know about how they feel about Logan Woodside. I don't know, man. Like, we don't have a backup quarterback that we could have used at any point in time in this season. If Logan Woodside comes in, there's no way we're a number 1 seed. There's no way we're even productive or in any of those games at the end of it. So, I mean, we definitely need to upgrade our backup quarterback position. And I feel like there's going to be a few quarterbacks that are trustworthy out there that we can scoop up if we need somebody to finish a game or two, for us at the end during the season. All right, I want to jump right into some of our needs I'm just going to go right into our top 5 needs as well for the off season, and I want to start off by just firing the offensive coordinator. We definitely need an offensive coordinator, somebody who can maximize the talent and potential on our team while also minimizing some of the weaknesses of our team as well. I mean, we got a lot of weaknesses on pass coverage on the offensive line, and a decent offensive coordinator or a better offensive coordinator would have schemed around some of our deficiencies in pass coverage for Tannehill. He would have there would have been more quicker throws. There would have been more check downs and reads. There would have been more tight end chips. There would have been more, there would have been more wide receiver chips on the end to help out. But we just dropped back and let Tannehill get smacked 50 plus times this year. I mean, some of those shots and plays that we ran this year that led to Derrick Henry having a huge number of negative plays, just because they knew exactly what we were doing and we didn't do anything to show otherwise. I mean, yes, you want to be able to impose your will on a team, but sometimes you have to give them other looks that we can use to maximize the gains in the game. You know what I'm saying? Get the most yards we can out of a play. Why run a 3-yard play when there's a way of getting 5 or 6 out of this play? I mean, that's just coming from a better scheme, like a better standpoint. With a better offensive coordinator, we would do better to start games. I think up front, the way that they prepare for teams in a week would be different. I mean, Vrabel keeps us in the games. He makes some of the great calls, time management, but I mean, the offensive coordinator, it will dictate our offense, especially the first 15 plays, and we cannot go back with Todd down. Next, I definitely think we need to upgrade our middle linebacker, and we definitely have to add a 3-down linebacker to our team. I mean, David Long is a very good 3-down linebacker. He's very good in run stoppage. He's very good in pass coverage. I mean, Zach Cunningham is a good third middle linebacker as well, and we do have Monty Rice, but I think that if we were able to add somebody who can cover the tight ends and running backs a little better, somebody who can also stop the run and clog some of those middle of the holes to help out the defensive line, I mean, we would be just that much better. I don't see Jaylen Brown and or Sherrod Evans coming back, so I can see them trying to get a full 3-down back to replace those two who do not play all 3 downs. Next, I definitely think we need a 3-down tight end as well. Definitely somebody who can come in on the first and second down and is a willing blocker, very capable and a good impact blocker, can set the edge, help set the edges and we don't have to bring in an extra lineman, somebody that can block like a Kittle, or somebody that can block like some of your better better blocking tight ends in the league, but also somebody who can, who can on third down can get free and get you those tough yards that you need as well. So with somebody with good hands, but also that just is a blocking tight end by nature. I mean, there's going to be plenty of tight ends that we can look at in the draft, plenty that we can look at in free agency. So, I mean, I think that upgrading that position is going to go a long way for this offense, especially on third downs and second downs as well, getting us into easier downs if we have those blow-up plays on first down. Next, I definitely want to talk about the O-line. I mean, Quisenberry definitely is a free agency, so you would think that they're going to look at like upgrading that position at right tackle. Ben Jones is also a free agent, so you would look at also upgrading somebody younger as well. Ben Jones has had his issues. I mean, we love Ben Jones, but if there's somebody that we can upgrade that position, I definitely would think that Big John is going to take a chance at looking at it. Next, we definitely want to talk about some speed on offense. Like, that's one of our issues all year. I mean, we definitely should have re-signed Khalif Raymond last year. He was necessary. In some of the biggest games 2 years ago, he came up huge for us, being that speed receiver, knowing that there's not going to be any safety help, and it's just one-on-one speed on coverage right in the back end. I mean, we did not use AJ in that particularly well in deep threats, nor Julio this year, which I do credit to the offensive coordinator. But I mean, if we can add some nasty speed within our team, like that, it can go a long way. Because once we get those safeties and those linebackers cheating up to stop Derek, and we have some speed on the back end to like bomb them, like it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. All right, guys, that's it for Titans Time. Next episode of Titans Time, we're going to definitely give our year in awards for the team. So I definitely am excited for the great season we had. I mean, I would love to have had this go all the way this year, especially with the talent that we've had this year. But I mean, for us to still have the number one seed, for us to still win our division with 91 different players. Practice players from other teams, people that weren't even on practice squads were playing, and we still were able to come out and kick people in the mouth every week. I mean, it was just it was amazing to see it was amazing to see. I mean, I'm excited to still always be a Titans fan, and we're going to continue this going, like as long as the wheels don't fall off this one. So, I mean, stay tuned for the next episode, guys. Hey, when we come back though, we're right into Vegas, baby. So stay tuned.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Vegas, baby. This is a segment where we give our locks, chances, and wild cards, and go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of anything we just betted on. So, I definitely want to jump right into the divisional round, good, bad, and ugly. Man, it was a crazy week, especially on a betting line standpoint. Man, we're starting with some of the good this weekend, and I definitely want to shout out to the Bengals. Like, for them to come through at the end there, who thought that they were going to win the turnover battle the way they did? Who thought that they were going to win with only 19 points at the end of the game, especially with Derek coming back? I mean, so shout out to them. Like, nobody thought that they were even going to win their division. I mean, I would have probably taken that, like, most people betted them to actually lose their division this year, but for them to be in the AFC Championship game now is just ridiculous. I feel like they're definitely the Titans of 2 years ago. I don't know, very magical run, but Pat Mahomes is coming up next, so we'll see what happens. Definitely next I wanted to shout out to and the good is the San Francisco 49ers, man. They had no shot in this game. And for them to only hold the Packers to 10 points, man, Jesus. I mean, you were down 3 with less than 6 minutes to go, and we were down 10. You were down 10-3. I'm sorry, with less than 6 minutes to go in that game, and Jimmy G, Deebo Samuels, and that defense just roared back and came through. Especially when the snow fell, like it just turns into a whole nother game. So shout out to San Francisco, back in the AFC Championship game again, when nobody thought that they were. Next, I want to jump right into some of the bad for this weekend. And I got 2 for the bad. I want to start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that one, man. Because I would just say bad only because like they were able to come back in that one. I mean, most teams were able to come back in these games. All of them were close. All of them came down to a field goal at the end of the regulation. So I mean, but they were getting blowed at some point. I think they were down 27-3 at some point in that game, and before the Rams start Three Stooges blooper reeling the Bucks back into the game. I mean, they got some back end issues that they definitely want to take care of. You know, they got some people that need to resign, or they're not going to resign, like Carlton Davis. I mean, there's no reason that Cooper Kupp is open at the end of that game. Like I said, there's no reason he gets behind you for a deep ball at the end of the game. No reason. I mean, defense was supposed to be the reason why they're going to be in that game. But I mean, Matthew Stafford had his way up and down the field until he starts, just having some of the dumbest goofs in the game. All right, and then next for the bad, I definitely want to talk about is the Bills. I mean, only because you give up 42 points and you're the number 1 defense in the league. Kansas City has primarily 2.5 weapons on offense for Pat Mahomes to throw it to. Essentially, you got Travis Kelce, you got Tyreek Hill, and you got Mecole Hardman, which is that half. And those 2.5 weapons was all they needed to rack up 42 points just about on you guys. I mean, Pringle played really well as well. I mean, Robinson came through. They had a semblance of a running game, but Jerick McKinnon actually played really well in that game, stepping up as like one of their 3rd and 4th options in that game. So, I mean, but again, the number 1 defense gave up 42 points is the reason why you lose that game. You gave up 2 plays that put the Kansas City Chiefs in position to kick that field goal to send it to overtime. 2 plays, 13 seconds left. Come on, guys. I mean, that is bad for the number 1 defense. Now, if they're middle of the pack, and that's what they've been doing all season, then you would expect nothing less. But man, that's an ugly way to go out for Bills Mafia. All right, and I only got 1 team really for the ugly this year, for the ugly at the end of this week, and it's going to be the Green Bay Packers. I mean, who betted against the Packers not going all the way? I mean, a majority of pundits across all the sports news definitely had the Packers going all the way, especially the way they played all year. Aaron Rodgers should be winning another MVP again this year. The defense stepping up the way they stepped up all year, especially with all the injuries they had as well. Matt LaFleur has coached great games, led some great comebacks with Aaron Rodgers. So I mean, it just was like really ugly to see them put up only 10 points. Especially with them scoring the first touchdown on the first drive. And the main reason, though, for them being in the ugly is what's going to happen, the fallout from winning that game, from losing that game as well. Aaron Rodgers, as already said, is not coming back for a rebuild. They have so many people on that team that they have to re-sign, and I think they're somewhat of like $44 million over the cap space to begin with. So, yeah, oh man, they got a lot to think about down there. And if your team's ever been in a cap busting situation, like the Titans had, probably I think when we had to let go of Derek Mason, Steve McNair, and majority of our like Blaine Bishop, Samari Rowe, most of that team that like was really good in the early 2000s. I mean, it's just your rebuild. It can be 10 years. It can be 5 years. It can be a few years. You never know how long that rebuild hits after you hit like one of those cap busting situations that you just maxed out cap wise and you have to restart your whole roster to get under the cap space. I mean, it just this was the year for the Packers. They invested everything in this year knowing that they were going to be, if they wanted to bring back everybody, they're going to be somewhere around $44 million over the cap space. They're going to have to rebuild now. And who knows how long it's going to be, and you definitely don't see Aaron Rodgers sticking around for it. So that's ugly for them at this point. All right, I'm just going to run right into some of these NBA games, and we're going to start off with some of the primetime games from Monday. And we got the New York Knicks traveling to Cleveland to play the Cavaliers. And I like what Rondo's added to a veteran presence from a point guard standpoint down there. I think that he's helped Darius Garland ascend to that next level, to which he is a very, very good young player and somebody that definitely needs to be watched out for this year in any game. The Cavaliers are playing really well. I still don't trust the Knicks. I like them in some spurts especially when Julius Randle's getting hot, but I'm just gonna go with the Cavs in this one. I feel like they're making their push to be a really good playoff team this year. Next, we got the Jazz traveling to Phoenix to play the Suns, and I'm gonna go with the Suns in this one, especially since that's my team. I like what they're doing. They're definitely playing like the number one team in basketball right now. Chris Paul is the general of the year. He's one of the best field generals I've ever seen from a basketball standpoint, and he's got this team playing at an extremely high level again this year. So I'm gonna go with Phoenix in this one. And we're gonna travel over to Tuesday, where we got the Lakers traveling to Brooklyn to play the Nets, and I definitely know that KD and Kyrie are not gonna be there for this one. So this might be a good one. This is one that I can see the Lakers sneaking up on and making some notice in this one. LeBron's playing out of his mind offensively. I mean, every night he's dropping a 30-point game. And the fact that Vogel has the right to do whatever he needs to with the Russell Westbrook situation, I think that they can make some noise in this one, especially since again they're going to be down two of their three big three stars being in the Nets. So I'm gonna jump out on a limb, a huge limb, and I'm gonna go with the Lakers in this one. Whew. I might regret it, but hey. All right, next we got the Mavs traveling to Golden State to play the Warriors, and man, the Mavs are so iffy. Man, they played so well against the Grizzlies last night. I mean, I was shocked in myself. No Desmond Bain though for the Grizzlies. No Dylan Brooks as well. I mean, so we were down some key parts. I actually think Kyle Anderson was out. I didn't see him in that one either. So I mean, we definitely there definitely was a gap in talent for that one. Luka's playing really well right now. I think he's definitely just got right back into shape. Porzingis is playing at the level that he was when he was in New York, which is kind of scary in itself. So, hey, you never know what you'll get out of this one. I think Steph back for this one. Clay sat out the last game with some knee soreness, but either way, Jordan Poole, Damian Lee, they have some real talent in Golden State. I'm gonna go with the Warriors in this one. I think that I just don't think that the Mavs are going to continue to be consistent like they have not been all year. All right, on Wednesday now. I'm sorry. All right, we got the Grizzlies traveling to San Antonio to play the Spurs, and I like Ja Morant's matchup in this one. DeJounte Murray, that's a lot to say. DeJounte Murray against Ja Morant is a good matchup because he's a very good defender. He's very long, 6'4", long arms, very good at steals, blocks. So, but I just think that the Grizzlies have too much fire, one of the deepest benches in the game right now. They're going to they can't be outscored by the San Antonio Spurs, even if they were not to play defense. But the Grizzlies are a good defensive team as well. So look for them to bounce back after losing to the Mavs against the Spurs. Next, we got the Suns traveling to Utah to play the Jazz. They did just play each other. I do believe now that the Jazz are in Utah, being that they're such a really good regular season team, not a postseason team, but more of a regular season team, I think that they could get their shooting together. They're going to have home field advantage. They do have some really good snipers, and Ingles and Bogdanovich, Jordan Clarkson. I think that, if you give them a chance, they're going to light it up at home during the regular season. So I'm going to go with the Jazz in that one. All right, on Thursday, we got the Lakers traveling to Philly to play the 76ers, and I just don't see who's stopping Joel Embiid in that one. I think he's just going to be too much in the middle or everywhere, to be honest with you. And the Lakers, they're still struggling to find their way defensively. This is not a game to struggle defensively. Joel Embiid is going to terrorize. I feel like the Lakers defense all game, and I just don't see that. I just don't see LeBron and the rest of the squad putting up enough points to keep up. All right, last but not least, on Thursday, we got the T-Wolves traveling to Golden State to play the Warriors, and I like what Cat's been doing down there. Anthony Edwards is an actual beast, man. Ant-Man is nothing to play with. D'Lo is found him a home for the play in, and they have like a really solid starting five. But hey, Thursday is going to be a primetime game. I feel like Clay's going to be back. I just don't see them scoring enough points to keep up with the Warriors in that one as well. So, hey, look for the Warriors. I'm going with the Warriors to win that one. All right, guys, that's Vegas, baby. So when we come back, I'm going to go right into hot news and not news. So stay tuned when we return, guys.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
What?
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's hot news or not news. This is the segment where we go over the latest topics in the world of sports. And if it's hot news, we definitely gonna stop and talk about it. And if it's not news, we're gonna tell you why and keep it pushing. So I want to start off by talking about one AA run. Aaron Rodgers said that he will not be a part of a rebuild next year for the Packers if that is what's going to happen. Do I think that this is news? Yes, because they are $44 million over the cap space at this point. Aaron Rodgers is making $46 million. He's due to make $46 million next year. There you go. He cannot come back, to be honest with you. You drafted a quarterback in the first round a couple of years ago to be the heir apparent. This will be his going to his third year in the league. You have to let him go. You have to let Jordan Love do what you drafted for. There's no way that you can rebuild the team and keep some of the players that you have when you have a $46 million quarterback and you're $44 million over the cap space. If Aaron were to stay, they would lose so many pieces that it would not be a good team. So this is definite news. And I feel that Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to pull a move sort of like Tom Brady and go to a place where he can have more control, that has a little cap space, that has a team, a good team in place for him to add a few more pieces and be that additional piece to put him over the hump for maybe a 2 or 3-peat to end his career. So, I mean, this news could change the entire dynamics of the NFC and AFC as well. I feel like it already has changed the dynamics of the NFC North. The Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions are chopping at the bits that Aaron Rodgers will be leaving their division, and their rebuild just got that much better. So, I mean, I don't see him like being traded to a team within the NFC. So this definitely could go to an AFC team and again change the dynamics of the entire AFC as well. Aaron Rodgers is a generational player, and he's a 2-time MVP. There's no doubt in my mind that says that he doesn't have so much more left in the tank to give to even go on like a few more Super Bowl runs. So look for this information to dominate the airwaves all summer, all off season. I can't wait to see what actually shakes from this. Next topic we're going to talk about is the Dallas Cowboys are looking like they're going to keep their head coach Mike McCarthy going into next season, even as the offensive coordinator Kellen Moore and their defensive coordinator Dan Quinn are getting a lot of coaching opportunities, getting a lot of coaching vacancy interviews at this point. Do I think that this is news at this point? Yes. Only because we know what we're getting. Everybody knows what you're getting out of Mike McCarthy as a head coach. He's the guy with the meme of him looking at the scoreboard in the middle of a play instead of looking at the game and being the coach of the game. He's the bystander. He's Jerry Jones' boy, and he's going to continue the Cowboys' misfortunes for the next season if they are to keep him. I love it. I think it's definitely news. I think that they should keep him. I think that they should continue to be mediocre when they matter the most, as they have been for the last 20 plus years. So definitely stay with them. Definitely, y'all. I think y'all got your guy. Next Jason Garrett situation. All right. The next topic I want to talk about is one Tom Brady. After losing to the Rams, it is uncertain that if he is able to come back, if he will come back for 2022 season. I just don't think that this is news at this point, because if Tom Brady won't have won this year, you know he was coming back for a 3-peat, something that's never been done before. So, but for him to want to win 2 out of the next 3 with the Bucks is just as on some LeBron greatness type of level anyway, and I just don't see him like hanging it up after leading the league in touchdowns and yards after this year. So definitely not news. You will see Tom Brady back next year. I guarantee it. All right, the last topic I want to talk about is the proposal for NFL overtime rules changes, and I don't think that it's the playoff. It's the middle of the playoffs, so technically it's not news that they're proposing NFL overtime rule changes. But when the offseason does come, I think that there should be some look into it. There should be a chance for each team to get the ball. I think that just having a game come off a coin toss is so cliche, like it does not represent who is the best team at the end of the day, but it still leads to some great times, like as well, like some great games. You never know what you're gonna get out of a playoff game, playoff overtime. So I think that there should be some changes going forward, but at this point, it's not news because we're still in the middle of the playoffs. And I think that we definitely should address this more going forward once the season is concluded. All right, guys, that's hot news and not news. When I come back, we're just gonna run over my final thoughts. So stay tuned, guys. Yo, what's going on, guys? We're back with my final thoughts for the day, and I just want to run through some final thoughts for me. And I gotta ask the question for real: how much blame do you adjust between a coaches, and the players? Because all these games this weekend came down to execution and play calling. So I feel like if you ever played a sport before, like those two are so go hand in hand that it makes everything run. I wrestled for instance, and if I was better on my feet attacking somebody when we're both standing up instead of me being on top, and I just could not get them to their back, the coach would call for me to cut him loose and let him back up so I could take him down again. Now, if I cut him loose wrong and just let him and just stand up and let him get my legs and take me down, then that's the execution. If I'm not better than him on my feet and the coach called him that and he were able to take me down consistently, but coaches keep telling me to cut him loose and he just keeps putting me on my back or keep taking me down, then that's a bad play call. When it came to football this weekend, especially when it came to the Titans in particular, there were so many bad play calls that were still executed bad. So that's why I think that that blame should be evenly disputed for what has been done. So if a play call led to somebody being wide open and you just missed the throw, that's execution. If the play call is such that nobody's wide open and there's a free rusher coming at you, then that's the play call. For the Titans in particular, again, Todd Downing is a terrible play caller, especially when it came to our first 15 plays. Tannehill had some interceptions, some fumbles, and a lot of sacks as well on our first drives, even going back to the Cardinal game. Just me thinking about it, that we was just terrible to start games and put ourselves in just too big of holes to come out of, and 6 losses this season out of 18 games. That's just from a fan standpoint. I feel that you cannot always put the onus on the coaches, and you can always put the blame on the players, but sometimes they definitely need to distinguish the difference between play calling and execution, so that way we can definitely blame whoever needs to be blamed the most. The Titans had me hot this weekend because of play calling and because of execution. There was one play where Tannehill dropped it in a bucket to A.J. Brown for a touchdown. It was just beautiful. And there's another play where Jesse Bates jumps right in front of the play and then picks it off. It's just stupid. It's just play calling and execution, right? Play calling and execution. As a former player, and I've never really coached, I would love to put the onus on coaches more, that they don't put players into the right situations. But sometimes players have to know that this ain't the right situation and get out of it. So, when we're harping back to the Titans, in this example, I just don't see how Todd Downing and Tannehill come back next year if we're able to upgrade for Tannehill. Todd Downing is definitely gone. You got to put the onuses on whoever it is, and I just want to make sure that they knew like if you want to talk about like Dallas in particular in a situation, like there's been plenty of times where Kellen Moore put that offense in very good positions to succeed, and Dak Prescott or Zeke Elliott or Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb drop balls, they've fumbled, they've missed throws, they've missed routes. That's execution. So you can't just keep paying them like top dollar and they're messing up execution when you're looking at like when the play calling is particularly well. But also the play calling was particularly bad even with good execution, which is most times what happens for most teams. They cover them up that are best teams winning, like a Packers team. Like I feel like that Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones were able to execute even with bad play calling. So I think the onus would be on Matt LaFleur, and I just don't see Aaron Rodgers coming back next year if that's the case. So, I mean, there's so much blame for every team. I just hope that this helps when you're as a fandom, like trying to figure out the blame at the end. Because I like just to point fingers at the whole organization. I say screw everybody and their mama and everything they love, but like you can't do that if you want to actually be productive, be constructive, and get better at the end of the day. So if you're in the organization, so definitely know that like finding out the real blame for real world problems is definitely what you need. You don't want to be like a Cleveland Browns in an OBJ situation. OBJ definitely was not to blame. And now you're still stuck with Baker. So, all right, guys, that's my rant. Hopefully that clears up some blame when we're going forward, man. Like that, definitely want to put that on the record. So that's it for today, guys. That was episode 20. Man, if you watching all the way to the end, you already know you're the MVP. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you want. Definitely wanted to take a second to shout out to everybody in the Chism Channel organization that had a hand in putting this together. You guys already know I couldn't do it without you. Hey guys, again, episode 20 is the CSG if you didn't already know. I'm your host, Jackie Chism. Until we meet again, guys, peace.
Brought to you by the Chism Channel and TCC Productions.